We are back at the Redbank Valley Trail. We're at the trailhead in Brookville today. Probably, I don't know, 20 miles north and east of New Bethlehem, where we started on the Redbank last time. So this will complete the trail for us as it is now. Nice little trailhead, but really kind of narrow. So had to tuck in the RV kind of close. Little rundown building across the street. The trees are changing. Beautiful ride up here. Hoping to see a lot of color on this ride, so let's find out. Let's go for a ride. I thought I'd try something different for this one, so instead of just prattling on while I rode, I decided to come back later and add this narration. Not sure that I like it because I miss the sound of the tires on the gravel, and I miss the sound of the tires on the leaves. This is the Redbank Valley Trail. It runs from Brookville all the way down to the Allegheny River, just south of East Brady. We came up here today to see some color. And I think we were maybe a week and a half from the full-blown, full color, lots of reds, lots of dynamic color, but it was still a very pretty ride. I thought that by doing this way that I could do some research on the trail itself. Really not a whole lot of information out there. This line was active, carrying freight until 2007, and by 2014, it was already a railed trail. That's about all I got. On the return trip, you'll see that we stopped by a tunnel, and the tunnel is on that spur line that we just passed by a minute or so ago. The tunnel is not safe. It is caved in. In my 20s, that probably wouldn't have slowed me down, but I'm not a kid anymore, and I see a barrier saying that something's not safe. I tend to heed it now. It looks like the trail is going to continue after it goes through that tunnel. About 3 miles to the east, there's another trail called the Five Bridges Trail, and it extends north and east through the state up to, I think, Ridgeway, and then on through the Clarion and a Little Toby Trail up to Brockaway. Now, I did read where, and I don't know why it applies to this trail. I'm pausing here just because this is just a fabulous view. So, anyways, as I was saying, when I did try to do a little research, it talked about a spur line that would go from Rockwood to the 9/11 Memorial in Somerset, which is a trail that I guess is being worked on as we speak. Rockwood, nice little town on the Great Allegheny Passage. So the article was bragging how you could go from Brookville to the 9/11 Memorial. And as neat as that is, I think it's more important that what it's doing is it's connecting up with the yes, it's the Great American Rail Trail. But right now, it's the Great Allegheny Passage. And I have spoken before on how the Great Allegheny Passage will connect up with the Panhandle Trail and continue west all the way to Seattle, Washington. So as neat as it is that it goes to the 9/11 Memorial, I think it's more telling that it's going to connect the country, as many other rail trails are working their way down to connect. I mean, just the ones that I'm aware of. The Western Reserve, the Ohio and Erie Canal Towpath, um, the Allegheny River Trail. And the Allegheny River Trail is what will actually connect this trail with the Great Allegheny Passage. I definitely miss the sound. But one of the things when I did this was I increased the speed just so I could include more view. So I could have included the sound, but we sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks when we do that. There are many markers along the way of this trail that did explain some of the history that I couldn't find online. One of them was just talking about one of the characters that lived in the area, 100 years ago. A guy named Joe Pluckety. He was a local character that lived along the railroad tracks down by the creek, and I guess he was just well loved. It was interesting coming through here. There were several wind chimes tied to trees, which gave me a couple quick questions of why would they do that and how, because they were pretty high and non-accessible. But I'm guessing that on a dark night cutting through that pass, hearing the faint sounds of wind chimes could just scare the heck out of anybody with a very vivid imagination. There's a placard on the end of this bridge that says 600 yards in the direction that we're looking now, there is a dam from one of the original residents of Brookville. That plaque there, yes. And this is Somerville, PA. Did a quick Wikipedia check on it. 500 people live in Somerville. Not a bustling metropolis. But the fellow that was the first resident came in there, and I guess a tree came down and crushed his leg, so it was the first surgery to be performed in the area, was to have that leg amputated. And he would later whittle his own peg leg Boy, the determination of the era. I'm always intrigued by the houses that are remote and their driveways cross the trail. I don't know why. Um, I have to stop for people on the sidewalk when they're in front of my house and I'm exiting through my driveway, but there's something about having to stop for a bicycle as I come down my driveway. It seems odd to me. I was really hoping the Reds here would come out, and they sure did. Very few people on the trail today. I think we encountered maybe half a dozen folks. I'm just a sucker for the view from the bridge. And this is the Redbank Creek. And I have mentioned on other videos rivers that we have traveled next to that are labeled rivers that aren't as wide as this creek. I came across this memorial bench here. There's a nice one. You see a lot of memorial benches. The gizmo that you see to the right of it, and a little bit above it, is a camera. Has a motion sensor and a solar cell. I don't know if they just want to see people enjoying the table or if they just want to make sure no one messes with the table. But it was a heavy metal construct. This was something. Welcome to Pennsylvania. We see hunter stands all the time, but that one was right on the trail. And there was a warning on it. Someone had put a warning sign on it that it was going to be removed, that it was not allowed to be on the trail. Pennsylvania is a big hunting state, and you see, if you look closely, you'll see hunter stands to the left and right all the time. but right on the trail. That was a bold move. You know, especially considering when you're not supposed to fire any type of weaponry near or towards the trail at all. We got halfway into this ride before we realized we didn't have any orange on or any bright colors. We try to make sure that we do. No, we aren't hunting ourselves, but we don't want to get shot. We want to be noticed. There's a tree stand down there to the left. This is where we decided to do the turnaround. That's a little sandy creek across the way. I guess there are a lot of creeks around in this particular area called Sandy Creek. But we were 15 miles into it, and we had reasons to want to cut our ride short. That was something that I wanted to have represented, but not spend a lot of time on. I've never seen a dead critter right on the trail like that before, much less a deer. I was really surprised because I thought it would stink to high heaven, and it did not. And there were a few flies on it, but not a lot. I just figured something like that, the local predators would have taken away pretty quickly. Maybe we scared them off as we approached, we don't know. There are a lot of roads like this one that head down into private camps. On pretty much any trail that we're on that's near a river. A lot of times that's why you see those posts when there are no roads. Well, there is a road, it's just a dirt road. And it's because the people have the right of way to get to their own property. They don't want them riding up and down the trail, either in a four-wheel truck or Polaris or any other type of vehicle. We're back through that cut. The ride back is always shorter. It always feels that way, but in the case of these videos, it's always that way. I stopped and looked into one of those things. That's a culvert under a road up there. Old-timey culvert. So here's that cutoff. Looking up on Brookville over there. Now, it is my guess that as you come across this bridge and through this tunnel on the other side, it will connect you through to that Five Corners trail. Five Bridges trail one day. Not today, but someday. You can see it's not very long as far as a lot of the tunnels we've gone through. Kind of hard to see, but there was a collapse about halfway through. The roof collapsed, so that was the turnaround there. Yeah, we really only have maybe a mile back to the RV. Very picturesque ride. I very much recommend get up here and try this thing. "30 miles from Brookville to the Little Sandy Creek and back. Beautiful trail, but you know, influenced by the changing colors. Nice ride. Mother.